I want you to think about my biblical question. Every week, I put these questions out there for you to think about. And the reason is I want you to encourage you to get to know yourself. Because if you are truly a son or daughter of God, then you should have peace and power. Peace from within and power. So the biblical question this week is, God said to be still and know him. Be still and know him. How do you be still and know God? That is my biblical question for the week. Be still and know God. All right? I want you to think about that. It is a spiritual battle, a warfare between good and evil, right versus wrong. It has nothing to do with color. It's not about your color. Life is about good or evil, right versus wrong. It's about character. And I have to tell you, our president, the greatest president on this side of heaven, he is displaying moral character and courage like no other president that I've seen in my lifetime. For the last 27 years, I've been saying, hey, I want my America back. Why is it that the government is not keeping its word? When they are running for office, they make all kinds of promises. And we say, oh, okay, we'll vote for you. And when they get in, they don't do it. They don't keep their word. Isn't that amazing? We finally have a president who is keeping his word in spite of the opposition, those who want him out. Their primary mission is to get him out. They are not thinking about the country, they're thinking about themselves. They never had a plan or intent to make America great again. The Democrats, the liberal media, the right or Republicans, the never Trumpers, they never had a plan. They were faking, they were lying to us. Yesterday, the president held a press conference with the intent, he thought that the media would want to hear about his infrastructure, what's going on with that. But no. They wanted to hear about what happened in Charlottesville. They didn't care. They didn't care about the real deal. They only cared about Charlottesville, Virginia. And they pretend that they believed that it was all about racism. And the president dealt with them like 90 going north. He dealt with them. He handled them. And I was so proud of the president yesterday because I've not seen another president in my lifetime to be honest and fair and balanced and just tell the truth in spite of the opposition, in spite of his haters. He just told the truth. He stood up to the media, his enemy, the fake media, the fake news, and just dealt with them. So the president holds his press conference yesterday, and I want you to hear, listen, and watch. It's going to make you proud. We got this from Right Side Broadcasting.
Why do you think these CEOs are leaving your manufacturing council?
Because they're not taking their job seriously as it pertains to this country. We want jobs, manufacturing in this country. If you look at some of those people that you're talking about, they're outside of the country. They're having a lot of their product made outside. If you look at Merck as an example, take a look where, take a look at where their product is made. It's made outside of our country. We want products made in the country. Now, I have to tell you, some of the folks that will leave, they're leaving out of embarrassment because they make their products outside. And I've been lecturing them, including the gentleman that you're referring to, about you have to bring it back to this country. You can't do it necessarily in Ireland and all of these other places. You have to bring this work back to this country. That's what I want. I want manufacturing to be back into the United States so that American workers can benefit.
Because they said that the president did not respond quick enough to the violence there in Charlottesville, Virginia on Saturday. But it's not true. You hear what the president had to say. They're just using that as an excuse. You know, I've just never had or heard of a president of the United States of America to just tell us the truth. It's like we're sitting in our own private living rooms, having a conversation, knowing what's right. Normally, the presidents lie to us. They don't tell the truth. They're not fair and balanced. We are so fortunate to have this, folks.
I didn't wait long. I wanted to make sure, unlike most politicians, that what I said was correct, not make a quick statement. The statement I made on Saturday, the first statement, was a fine statement. But you don't make statements that direct unless you know the fact. It takes a little while to get the facts. You still don't know the facts. And it's a very, very important process to me, and it's a very important statement. So I don't want to go quickly and just make a statement for the sake of making a political statement. I want to know the facts. If you go back to my, in fact, I brought it.
What did you bring, Mr. President?
As I said on, remember this, Saturday, we condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence. It has no place in America. And then I went on from there. Now, here's the thing. As to, excuse me, take it nice and easy. Here's the thing. When I make a statement, I like to be correct. I want the facts. This event just happened. In fact, a lot of the event didn't even happen yet as we were speaking. This event just happened. Before I make a statement, I need the facts. So I don't want to rush into a statement. So making the statement when I made it was excellent.
That's right. Absolutely. When I hear this, finally, my prayers are being answered to make America great again. And the one thing that the president does, and he does it so well, unlike Obama, Clinton, or Bush, or anyone else that I'm aware of, when there's wrongdoing, he doesn't care what color you are. He doesn't care what side you're on. He tells the truth about the situation. I remember during the Obama administration, Barack Obama would always, when radical evil Black Lives Matter would lie about police officers, so-called police brutality, Barack Obama would take the side of the radicals. Black Lives Matter. He never called out the evil and the lies that they put out there. It was and people were frustrated in this country about that. They couldn't believe it. Things have changed. The president said people still don't know and the media don't know the facts, folks. They don't care about the facts. They want to keep us divided. They want to keep us fighting amongst each other.
And honestly, if the press were not fake, and if it was honest, the press would have said what I said was very nice. But unlike you and unlike the media, before I make a statement, I like to know the facts. Frankly, people still don't know all of the facts. It was very important, it was very important to me to get the facts out and correctly. Because if I would have made a fast statement, and the first statement was made without knowing much other than what we were seeing. The second statement was made after, with knowledge, with great knowledge. There's still things, there's still things that people don't know. I want to make a statement with knowledge. I wanted to know the facts. Okay.
Remember when the thug Trayvon Martin down in Florida was killed by George Zimmerman. George was protecting himself from Trayvon Martin. And Barack Obama heard about it. And before he knew all the facts, he said, if I had a son, he would look like Trayvon Martin.
I think all of us have to do some soul searching to figure out how does something like this happen. And that means that we examine the laws and the context for what happened, as well as the specifics of the incident. But my main message is to the parents of Trayvon Martin. You know, if I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon. And, you know, I think they are right to expect that all of us as Americans are going to take this with the seriousness it deserves, and that we're going to get to the bottom of exactly what happened.
Before he even knew all the facts. And I remember the Massachusetts professor, a black professor who accused the police again. Obama said the police acted stupidly. He had no idea about anything. And Barack Obama did that to stir up the racists. That's why he said it. He had no facts. He didn't know all the facts. But yet he went out there and just got the blacks angry, and they went on a warpath. It was just, thank God for this president, making America great again. You have to appreciate and love this president because he's keeping his word. He's making America great again. And the opposition, their primary focus is to take him out. At this powerful press conference yesterday, I think that this is the most powerful and honest press conference I've ever seen a president do. Makes you proud to be American, and American even more so.
Can you tell us how you're feeling about your chief strategist, Mr. Bannon? Can you talk about that?
I would echo Maggie's question. Steve Bannon is.
I never spoke to Mr. Bannon about it.
Can you tell us broadly what do you still have confidence in
Well,
Steve?
we'll see. And look, I like Mr. Bannon. He's a friend of mine. But Mr. Bannon came on very late. You know that. I went through 17 senators, governors, and I won all the primaries. Mr. Bannon came on very much later than that. And I like him. He's a good man. He is not a racist. I can tell you that. He's a good person. He actually gets a very unfair press in that regard. But we'll see what happens with Mr. Bannon. But he's a good person, and I think the press treats him, frankly, very unfairly.
You know, I have so much respect for this president. The one thing that he is loyal to his friends. He doesn't backstab them. He doesn't turn on them. You can hardly find a real friend in America today. Have you noticed that? Even in families, they're not like true friends. They're friends as long as you are catering to them, agreeing with them. But the moment one little disagreement comes, or you do something that they disagree with, it's over as far as friendship. But this president, he doesn't dump his friends. He is committed to being a friend. And you know, the only reason that he's able to do that is because he doesn't have that resentment, that anger in his heart. He's free within. And most people have anger. They are not free within. I know Steve, and I've known Steve Bannon for a long time. And what I know of Steve, he's a good man. He is a good man.
Senator McCain said that the alt-right is behind these attacks, and he linked that same group to those who perpetrated the attack in Charlottesville.
Well, I don't know. I can't tell you. I'm sure Senator McCain must know what he's talking about. But when you say the alt-right, define alt-right to me. You define it. Go ahead.
Well, I'm saying, as
define it for me. Come on, let's go. Define
Senator
it.
McCain defined them as the same group.
Okay, what about the alt-left that came charging at him? Excuse me. What about the alt-left that came charging at the, as you say, the alt-right? Do they have any semblance of guilt?
This is Senator McCain's statement.
Let me ask you this. What about the fact they came charging with clubs in their hands, swinging clubs? Do they have any
That's right.
problem? I think they do. So, as far as I'm concerned, that was a horrible, horrible day. Wait a minute. I'm not finished.
Wow.
I'm not finished, fake news. That was a horrible day. I will tell you something. I watched those very closely, much more closely than you people watched it. And you have you had a group on one side that was bad, and you had a group on the other side that was also very violent.
Yes.
And nobody wants to say that, but I'll say it right now. You had a group on the other side that came charging in without a permit, and they were very, very violent.
Wow. What can you say, folks? God bless America. The president is absolutely right. It doesn't matter what you think about about the right, the alt-right, whether you like them or not, whether you agree with them or not, the KKK, the skinheads, they had a permit. They had a permit to hold their rallies. They did. As a matter of fact, the ACLU, of all people in the world, the ACLU fought for them to get the permit because the city there didn't want to give it. ACLU fought for them, and they got it. And so they had the right to be there. And the alt-left, which are the Antifa and Black Lives Matter people, they showed up. And they showed up ready for a fight. They showed up to start a fight. So they're the alt-left. I've never heard another president do this. I feel like my country is coming back. I want America back. So thank you, Mr. President, for dealing with both sides. Reporters ask, is the alt-left the same as neo-Nazis? Yes. I say yes. Here's what the president said.
Do you think that what you call the alt-left is the same as neo-Nazis?
Those people, all of those people, excuse me, I've condemned neo-Nazis. I've condemned many different groups, but not all of those people were neo-Nazis, believe me. Not all of those people were white supremacists by any stretch. Those people were also there because they wanted to protest the taking down of a statue, Robert E. Lee. So, excuse me, and you take a look at some of the groups and you see, and you know it if you were honest reporters, which in many cases you're not, but many of those people were there to protest the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee. So, this week it's Robert E. Lee. I noticed that Stonewall Jackson's coming down. I wonder, is it George Washington next week? And is it Thomas Jefferson the week after? You know, you really do have to ask yourself, where does it stop? But they were there to protest, excuse me, you take a look the night before, they were there to protest the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee. Infrastructure question, go ahead.
Should the statue of Robert E. Lee stay up?
I would say that's up to a local town, community, or the federal government, depending on where it is located.
Are you against the Confederacy?
You know, they should not be taking down these statues. They should not be erasing the history of this country. And the people who are doing it have no idea what it's about anyway. This is awful. This should not be happening. I love the way the president handled this, folks. You should be grateful. You know, I said before, when Barack Obama was in the White House, for the 8 years that he was there, I thought at one time America was over. Really. I thought it was done with.
Race relations in America. And do you think things have gotten worse or better since you took office?
I think they've gotten better or the same. Look, they've been frayed for a long time. And you can ask President Obama about that because he'd make speeches about it.
Mr. President, are you putting what you're calling the alt-left and white supremacists on the same moral plane?
I'm not putting anybody on a moral plane. What I'm saying is this. You had a group on one side and you had a group on the other, and they came at each other with clubs, and it was vicious, and it was horrible, and it was a horrible thing to watch. But there is another side. There was a group on this side, you can call them the left, you've just called them the left, that came violently attacking the other group. Yep. So you can say what you want, but that's the way it is.
On both sides, sir, you said there was hatred, there was violence on both sides.
Well, I do think there's blame. Yes, I think there's blame on both sides. You look at both sides. I think there's blame on both sides, and I have no doubt about it, and you don't have any doubt about it either. And if you reported it accurately, you would say.
Look at the disrespect that the media is showing to this president. Do you remember any other time that they did that with the fallen Messiah, Barack Obama? Also, Barack Obama created a division between the races like no other president or person in the history of America. He divided the races like no one else has ever done. This president is uniting the races. This will go down in history as one of the greatest, most powerful press conference, in spite of the media disrespecting and going after the president. The president says that the press has treated good people very unfairly. Absolutely. Here we go.
Neo-Nazis started this. They
Heather
showed up in
hired
Charlottesville. They showed up in Charlottesville
Excuse me.
to protest.
Excuse me. They didn't put themselves down as neo, and you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. You had people in that group. Excuse me. I saw the same pictures as you did. You had people in that group that were there to protest the taking down of, to them, a very, very important statue and the renaming of a park from Robert E. Lee to another name.
White nationalists then?
Well, no, George Washington was a slave owner. Was George Washington a slave owner? So will George Washington now lose his status? Are we going to take down, excuse me, are we going to take down statues to George Washington? How about Thomas Jefferson? What do you think of Thomas Jefferson? You like him?
I do love
Okay, good. Are we going to take down the statue? Because he was a major slave owner. Now we're going to take down his statue. So you know what? It's fine. You're changing history, you're changing culture, and you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly. Now, in the other group also, you had some fine people, but you also had troublemakers, and you see them come with the black outfits and with the helmets and with the baseball bats. You had a lot of bad people in the other group too.
The press is treated unfairly, sir. I'm sorry, I just didn't understand what you were saying. You were saying the press has treated white nationalists unfairly?
No.
I just didn't understand what you were saying.
No. There were people in that rally, and I looked the night before. If you look, there were people protesting very quietly the taking down of the statue of Robert E. Lee. I'm sure in that group there were some bad ones. The following day, it looked like they had some rough, bad people, neo-Nazis, white nationalists, whatever you want to call them. But you had a lot of people in that group that were there to innocently protest and very legally protest because, you know, I don't know if you know, they had a permit. The other group
Yes.
didn't have a permit. So I only tell you this, there are two sides to a story. I thought what took place was a horrible moment for our country, a horrible moment. But there are two sides to the country.
Amen, and a woman too. But the president said that concerning race relations, he mentioned that he was bringing jobs back, and he believes that once people start working, they have money, they can pay their bills, they feel better, it's going to help the race relations. And he's absolutely right about that. Barack Obama nearly put everybody in the homeless shelter. Obama divided the races like no other president in the history of America. He is the worst. Obama is the worst president. So I want to just for a short minute here give you the response of some of the cowardly rhinos who responded to the president. These quote unquote men are cowards. They should not be in government. They need to be working in cotton fields down in Alabama. Oh, here's where the president talk about jobs and race relations.
Mr. President, do you think you're helping to heal the nation?
Racial divides in
Well, I
this
really
country.
think jobs can have a big impact. I think if we continue to create jobs, over 1 million, substantially more than 1 million, and you see just the other day, the car companies coming in with Fox, Foxconn. I think if we continue to create jobs at levels that I'm creating jobs, I think that's going to have a tremendous impact, positive impact on race relations.
And what you said today, how do you think that will impact the racial sort of
The
conflict
people are going
today?
to be working. They're going to be making a lot of money, much more money than they ever thought
But I mean,
possible.
your remarks
And that's going to
today-
happen. And the other thing, very important, I believe wages will start going up. They haven't gone up for a long time. I believe wages now, because the economy is doing so well with respect to employment and unemployment, I believe wages will start to go up. I think that'll have a tremendously positive impact on race relations.
Amazing. I don't know what else to say, but thank God. The greatest country on this side of heaven. Everybody and their mama tried to come here. When Barack Obama was in the White House, Black American unemployment went through the roof. Everybody, not everybody, but blacks were not working under the fallen Messiah. Now they have a chance again. I want to give you a taste of how the Rhino Republicans responded to that. You would think that they will all just be on board, but no. Little cowardly, wimpy, I don't even know what to say about it. We need to vote these folks out, by the way. All right, elections are coming. Let's put in men and women who are going to make America great again. This is why the Republicans did nothing in the last 50 years. They were just a sorry bunch of people who had no plans to do anything to make the country great again. Here is some of their responses to the president's press conference yesterday. James is here, and James is my producer. The first one is Little Marco.
The organizers of events which inspired and led to Charlottesville terrorist attack are 100% to blame. They are adherents of an evil ideology which argues certain people are inferior because of race, ethnicity, or nation of origin.
Marco is wrong. They're not 100% to blame. Had not the alt-left, Antifa, and Black Lives Matter showed up, there would not have been a riot. It would not have happened. I've noticed that whenever the alt-right hold their rallies, and you might not agree with what they're about, but they hold those rallies and they leave. It's only when the alt-left show up and start the fight. So Rubio, Little Marco is wrong. Just FYI.
When an entire movement is built on anger and hatred towards people different than you, it justifies and ultimately leads to violence against them.
Little Marco never mentioned Black Lives Matter.
True.
Or Antifa. Mm-hmm. Shame on Little Marco.
These groups today use the same symbols and same arguments of Nazi and KKK groups responsible for some of the worst crimes against humanity ever.
A little coward, a dishonest person.
Senator Orrin Hatch tweeted, "We should never hesitate to call out hate whenever and wherever we see it." He posted on Instagram that when he was 8 years old, his brother was killed fighting Hitler. And so he wrote this long post saying that we should condemn evil in all its forms.
On both sides. But he didn't do that. Mm-hmm. He did not point it out on both sides. This is why the Republicans are losing. Right. The Democrats control them.
Senator John McCain tweeted, "There's no moral equivalency between racists and Americans standing up to defy hate and bigotry. The President of the United States should say so."
What is he talking about?
He's defending Antifa, basically. Does that make sense?
He is defending Antifa?
He's saying there's no moral equivalence between the racists.
I believe that John McCain is still mad at the president from the primaries when the president says something about, you know, he's only a hero because he was captured. Uh-huh. I think this somebody need to tell John McCain he need to forgive. He need to drop it. Yeah. In Arizona, wake up. This man is not on your side. Mitt Romney is that. Oh, Ted, poor Mitt.
Romney tweeted, "No, not the same. One side is racist, bigoted Nazi. The other opposes racism and bigotry. Morally different universes."
Shaking my head. It's no wonder that Mitt lost with Barack Obama. What a cowardly man. Well, those out there who are voting for these folks, you see where they're coming from, right? I want to take some calls.
Isn't it interesting that for 8 years Obama could not call Islamic terrorism?
Yeah.
And this is one situation where the president, he did not call out specific groups because, as he stated, he wanted to get all the facts. But he did right away call the group out for who they are. I just think it's just so hypocritical of the left to be calling Trump on this.
You know, you're absolutely right. I've said that the left are the children of the lie, and they only think of themselves and not we the people. They don't want to make America great. When Barack Obama was in the White House, in spite of all the things that we had to deal with, all the scandals, you never heard the left, the Democrats, or the media exposing Barack Obama. But this president, a good man, they want to stop him because they do not want to make America great again. They want to control us. They're in it for themselves. They're members of the good old boys club. It's time that these people voted out. The president is exposing them, and they don't realize that they're being exposed because they're so angry.
I don't understand what the left's agenda is. I just don't get it. I mean, thank God I literally just found your show this morning. I mean,
well, welcome.
Your objectivity is just wonderful. Sometimes I feel like our society is just crazy with this left, that they're not seeing reality, and this president is talking and seeing reality, and the left hates it.
This is why I say that racism. Another reason I say that racism doesn't exist. You have good on the right, and you have evil on the left. And it's a battle between good and evil. It's not about the color, but the left want you to think it's about the color. These right-o Republicans who are cowardly men also want you to think it's about color, but it's about character. It's about good and evil. Brad, thank you for tuning in, and thanks for calling. I want to show you how vicious and evil the left is. They're destroying America. They want to wipe out everything that's good about this country. This is what we're dealing with on the left. These are examples of the children of the lie. They don't want America to be great again. They have been brainwashed, dumbed down, and it's bad, folks. And the president and the folks who are on the side of good are fighting against this. Last night, it was reported that 4 Confederate monuments disappeared overnight in Baltimore following a city council vote. Other cities are considering similar action. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
That is mind-blowing. They are tearing down the history of America because of their hatred of God, country, and Constitution. They hate good. You can continue to watch and listen, folks, by going to JLP Talk, JLPTalk.com. JLPTalk.com. 3 hours a day. We're on Newsmax, 1 hour a day, but the radio show is 3 hours. So you can go to JLPTalk.com. All right? We got to do something about this. We got to stand with this president. No other president has ever done this. Where is Little Marco? Where are the right-o Republicans? Where are the Democrats on the destruction of the statues, the monuments in this country? And if you don't stop these people from doing this, there is no end. As the president said, when will they stop? At what point would enough be enough for these evildoers? I call them evildoers. It's just crazy, folks. This is the greatest country in the world. The monuments, the statues and things show where we have come from, how great this country is, the sacrifices that this country has made so that all men and women should be free. These godless children, the children of the lie, don't want that. They hate it. They hate good. They hate the family. They hate the order of life. They just hate good.